Sibling rivalry is real. I get it. I have a younger brother, and when we were kids, he knew how to push my buttons. And I was bigger than him. Sorry, bro. In this video, I'll share a story of sibling rivalry that was a little bit more complicated than anything I've ever experienced. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Brian, and this is Practically Biblical. This channel is all about sharing stories of Scripture and offering practical insights that I hope will encourage you to explore the Bible more for yourself. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. In fact, we just reached 100 subscribers this past weekend. So for those of you who have been on, those of you who have subscribed, those of you who have been watching and liking our videos, thank you. Continue to share and like this video. Now let's jump into today's story. In Genesis chapter 25 and 27, we get the story, at least the beginning of a story, of two brothers, twin brothers who lived very different lives. Esau was the older of the two twins, and he was daddy's favorite. He was a manly man, rugged, strong man who loved to be out in the fields, loved to gather and hunt for his own food. And Jacob was a bit more of a mama's boy. He liked to stay home, sit around camp, and he was a troublemaker, so he liked to kick back and see what kind of trouble he could cook up. One day we read about the story where Esau's out in the fields all day long hunting, and he comes back and he's starving. He didn't get whatever it was that he was hunting for that day, and so he's hungry. And he comes home, and Jacob happens to be making one of his favorite soups. And so Jacob saw this as an opportunity to get something from his older brother Esau that he really wanted. And Esau was so hungry right now, he didn't care what he had to give up, what he had to sacrifice. So he offered his birthright to his younger brother Jacob, and Jacob gladly accepted and gave him a bowl of soup. Now it's kind of a strange story, right? Esau didn't seem too concerned about giving up his birthright, which was kind of a big deal. But Esau was daddy's favorite, and I don't think he was concerned because it really wasn't his to give away. But if we flip ahead to Genesis 27, we get to see a bit more of Jacob's plans. You see, his father Isaac was getting old and he had lost his vision at this point. He knew the end of his life was coming, but he had some unfinished business in the way of a blessing that he would give to Esau. So Jacob took this as an opportunity to steal one more thing because this blessing was a pretty big deal, even bigger than the birthright that he had already taken from his brother Esau. You see, in this case, this blessing had to do with leadership of the family, ownership of the family property, and even prosperity among surrounding nations. And Jacob went to great lengths, conspiring with his mother to steal this blessing from his brother. You can read about that story in Genesis chapter 27. Jacob's plans ultimately succeeded, and not only did he steal his brother's blessing, but Esau was cursed as a result and given to a life of tribal infighting and service to his younger brother, which, as you can imagine, didn't go so well. Jacob and Esau eventually went their separate ways, but it's Jacob's family that eventually became the nation of Israel that we read about the rest of the way through the Old Testament, and the family through whom God would bring blessing to the nations that we talked about in our video on Abraham last week. So I think the question is, why would God, a God of love and mercy and justice, allow this to happen? And my answer is, I really don't know. But maybe that's the wrong question. You see, if we flip back to Genesis 25:23, we see that God told Rebekah, the twins' mother, before they were ever born, that she would have twin boys and that the older son would serve the younger son. And so if we look at this story through that lens, we not only see the selfish actions of Jacob and Rebekah, but we see maybe the scheming and the planning and plotting of Isaac and Esau to usurp God's plans and push their own agenda moving forward. In the end, God's plans prevailed. Despite the failure and deception of this highly dysfunctional family, God moved history forward just as he intended, so that through the line of Jacob, later called Israel, his son would be born to be the blessing to all nations. So here's the question. Do you believe God can move in your life and bring about his plans and his purposes despite your failures and despite your dysfunction? I know he's done it in my life. We all have bits and pieces of failure and dysfunction in our life, and we all have need for God. Do you believe that whatever you've done, that God can overcome that and work his plan and his purposes in your life? Thanks for watching. If you haven't done so yet, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to this channel, and invite your friends as we continue to journey together right here on Practically Biblical.